Good evening and welcome to Mass United Insurance's Line and Line. And on tonight's show, Barry Wilkinson talks to the Grenadian Prime Minister, the Honourable Keith Mitchell. We take a special look at Scotiabank Kiddie Cricket, and Philip Hackett is in the studio. All that and more on tonight's Mass United Insurance's Line and Line. We'll be back in just a moment.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
Well, it's a great honour to be with the Prime Minister of Grenada, the Right Honourable Dr. Keith Mitchell. Dr. Mitchell, you must be happy to see cricket back in Grenada, particularly a test match.
Test match against England. That's even more significant, the country, because as you know, there was a long history of British rule in the Caribbean, and of course Grenadians still have a deep connection with Britain. So clearly a test match against Britain here in Grenada means a lot more than just a normal test match.
Now, you look at the fact that these days you have to bid for cricket. Before, it was a given. Barbados, Jamaica, perhaps Trinidad and Tobago would have test cricket. But to come to Grenada is indeed special. Did you have to pay a lot of money to bid to get cricket come here?
No, not really. And we consider whatever little investment we have to make, it's worthwhile, because when you look at this, the multiplying spin-off of the country, it's quite large. And we see the hotels sector doing well, and we get revenue when the hotels do well, and the government, that is. The vendors are doing well, the fish vendors, the farmers are selling their produce, the shopkeepers all over the country. Shopkeepers, you see the shops are filled with Grenadians and Caribbean people who are here watching the game. And so we believe there's enormous spin-off. And don't forget, the publicity this country gets. We're having an internationally televised, a game that is televised internationally from St. George's with Britain and the Caribbean islands, is enormous exposure for the country, and I don't think the tourism board could have the kind of money to give us that kind of exposure. So this thing has enormous impact on the economy of the country. Some of it we won't see immediately, but it's certainly down the road.
Being one of the most experienced prime ministers right now in CARICOM, how much would you say it is worth to have a series like West Indies, England in the Caribbean?
I think it is worth a lot. As I said before, cricket is so important for every Caribbean man, woman and child, and we know this. So when you invest and you have games of this nature, it helps the Caribbean man and how he feels about himself. And that's why it's so important for us to place importance and the upward mobility of West Indies cricket, because it defines us. So you can't have something that defines you and you're almost at the bottom of the ladder, when in fact historically you've been at the top. So that's why this thing means so much to us. It's not just a sport, it's a way of life of the people. I've heard prime ministers talk about going abroad, and when the performance of West Indies, they hang their heads down. So I know the impact this has on our people, and to us, we have no choice but to invest what we have to invest. And that's why the meeting held just 2 days ago in St. George's that I chaired, the meeting with the legends, where we had Sir Gary Sobers, Sir Wes Hall, Derek Murray, Andy Roberts, Gordon Greenidge, and all the legends of the past, Sir Viv Richards, all of them were at the meeting that I chaired with 4 prime ministers, talking about the difficulties West Indies cricket has gone through over the years, in the last 18 years, and what are the solutions. And we said, look, gentlemen, we all know what the problems are. Let's talk solutions. Because we were meeting the West Indies Cricket Board, the entire board, not just the president and the vice president. Right. We wanted all the directors, and we got almost all. Only two persons were missing. We said, look, give us your idea what you think are some of the solutions, so that when we meet with the board later in the afternoon, we can then come up with a constructive decision as how we go forward with the leadership of the region. And one director could say, so as all said, Prime Minister, why should we believe after all the false stats we've had over the years in trying to solve West Indies cricket problems there. Why should we believe this time we'll be on the right path and we're not going to fall short again? I say, so let me tell you this. This time, the heads of government have in fact invested their credibility into a solution in West Indies cricket. We cannot afford to fail. Politicians cannot afford to invest their credibility into any serious issue and fail, because it will affect their image. And this has so much impact on the region and on our economy that we can't afford to do otherwise.
What were some of the solutions then coming out of that very important meeting?
We'll make a joint announcement on Tuesday, so I would not want to say, but I am particularly pleased. All I can say at this point in time, CARICOM leadership will be involved in the exercise, and the West Indies Cricket Board will also be involved. So it's going to be a joint exercise on the way forward. And we have agreed on a formula that I would be central in leadership and moving it forward. And therefore you would hear on Tuesday. But I'm very confident. In fact, I believe to some extent some little information has gone out. So I've been getting calls from people already complimenting the leadership of the region for having taken this very courageous stand, or they believe is courageous, in making sure that this is something that the West Indies Cricket Board understand that we cannot afford to drop.
All right, so great stuff there from Dr. Keith Mitchell. We look forward to seeing what is going to happen with the future of West Indies cricket. Thanks, Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you, my brother.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
Playing cricket for West Indies is hard work. That's why you need the best shoes.
Bowling fast is harder than it looks. And don't forget batting, I can do that too.
You need to have the best equipment to achieve optimum results.
Being in the center, all eyes are on me. Gotta look my best.
For over 3 decades, Sports and Games Barbados Limited has been outfitting professional, amateur and young athletes with the best gear. Whatever your sporting needs, you are sure to meet them there. Corner of James and Roebuck Street.
Sports and Games, we are the home of champions.
FAS Entertainment presents the Digicel Reggae on the Hill, featuring Queen Africa.
Take you far away, far away.
High Octane.
I can see it in your eyes.
Norris Man. Luciano. Barrington Levy.
I'm brother than Broadway.
Beanie Man.
Cock it up down. Back it up down.
Steel Pulse. Plus the best of Barbados. MCs Miss Kitty and Peter Coppin. Sunday, April 26th, Farley Hill National Park from 11 a.m. Digicel Reggae on the Hill. The climax.
And welcome back to Massey United Insurance's Dine Line for an interesting discussion there. Philip Hackett, who's in the studio, with the Honorable Keith Mitchell, the Prime Minister of Grenada. He's the CARICOM's chairman on Subcommittee of Cricket, talking about a discussion he had with both the West Indies Cricket Board and the cricket legends of the Caribbean.
Well, the thing about it is that there's always this discussion as to whether politics and politicians should be involved in cricket, and somehow it seems to never really go away. It's an interesting relationship, if you put it that way, and one which I think the West Indies Cricket Board should try to maximize. I mean, you've got the situation where you expect the governments to play their role in ensuring the future of West Indies cricket, and good to see that someone like Prime Minister Mitchell is that interested in the whole process to be able to get involved at that critical level and really try to find some solutions.
And it was not only him. In fact, we had 3 other prime ministers, Bahamas, Antigua, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Well, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez always seems to be involved.
Yeah, and I think what it is, as long as there's not the type of interference where they try to get into the everyday, selection of teams and that type of thing. But if it comes down to policy, if it comes down to a vision to take West Indies cricket forward, then I believe you've got to really include those stakeholders.
Well, the meeting was in Grenada, and we are currently in the middle of the test match in Grenada. We'll be recording before the game finishes, so we don't know how it will end, but it has certainly been interesting from the point of view that we lost Jerome Taylor and Shannon Gabriel is in, Devendra Bishu in, 2 choices made by the selectors this time around. Your thoughts on the West Indies team as selected for this test match?
A big disappointment that Taylor was unavailable. He's proven to be a wicket taker, and I'm talking in his return. Since his return, he's probably not as been, economical as one would want. Neither in the test, but particularly in the one days, he's lead runs. But in both formats, he's been able to get wickets, and that's important. And it really was a disappointment. They've gone to Shannon Gabriel. I think Gabriel has not yet gone beyond the potential that one recognized some years back. But at the same time, were there that many options? Maybe you could have gone with the Carlos Brathwaite in terms of his all-round ability, and that really would have been my choice. But if you're looking at an out-and-out fast bowler, I don't think that they would have had that many options.
And Devendra Bishu are replacing an obviously out of form and out of sync Sulman Ben.
Well, once they made the decision to leave Ben out, then I thought Bishop was the obvious replacement. I don't have a problem with that at all. In fact, I think Bishop has really, the Bishop situation really has been a disappointment over the last few years. When you consider that he was the emerging player of the year, he had given good service to West Indies cricket in a short career, and then he's been overlooked now for what, almost 3 years, and I think that's really a disappointment. So I'm glad for him, and I hope that he will take this opportunity to show what he can do.
A century from Marlon Samuels. Yet again, the enigmatic Samuels. We're never sure which Samuels is going to turn up. Another century from him and another good score against England. He seems to like England.
Yeah, another century from him, and there's no way really we'd want to pull that down. You got a century, and I believe in respecting those things, but it must really be a bit of taste in the mouth, the man of his dismissal, and the fact that despite his obvious ability, and the fact that he's also been in reasonably good form since coming back into cricket. You remember he was out for quite a while because of the ban and so on. And then coming back in, but the maturity still doesn't seem to be there. And we saw that again, the man of the dismissal yesterday.
Well, disappointing, as you mentioned, but overall, West Indies versus England, as we mentioned on the previous program, is 3 versus 8, but it doesn't seem that way on the field of play.
You've really explained it well, expressed it well. In fact, I've had to find myself almost defending England because as I move around, and people are always ready to discuss cricket, and they describe them as 2 poor sides, and I keep saying, but if you look at the rating of the England side, you really can't just write them off. But at the same time, if you're judging them by what you're seeing in front of you, it's a bit worrying.
Well, and why is that? Are there so much happening behind the scenes in English cricket? Paul Dongton has gone. Peter Moores is back. The aura of Kevin Peterson hanging very big over English cricket at the moment.
Well, bear in mind though that their record away from home over the last almost 2 years now has not been impressive. So from that perspective, it is not a shocker, so to speak. And I suppose the reason why, as West Indians, we may be a bit alarmed is because we also know that the form of the West Indies team is not being good. And at the same time, it seems as though the West Indies team is able to hold the England side. But England, really, they've been quite poor overseas in the last 2 years or so.
And it continues.
And it continues.
Against the West Indies in the Caribbean. You're watching Massey United Insurance's Line and Line for Philip Hackett in the studio. When we come back, a West Indian is going to Australia. He's Samuel Badri. When we come back, on Massey United Insurance's Line and Line.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
Playing cricket for West Indies is hard work. That's why you need the best shoes.
Bowling fast is harder than it looks. And don't forget batting. I can do that too.
You need to have the best equipment to achieve optimum results.
Being in the center, all eyes are on me. Gotta look my best.
For over 3 decades, Sports and Games Barbados Limited has been outfitting professional, amateur and young athletes with the best gear. Whatever your sporting needs, you are sure to meet them there. Corner of James and Roebuck Street.
Sports and games. We are the home of champions.
FAS Entertainment presents the Digicel Reggae on the Hill, featuring Queen Africa.
Take it far away, far away.
High Octane.
I can see it in your eyes.
Norris Man.
Then if I want to see we strike.
Luciano.
Give praise to Rastafari.
Barrington Levy.
I'm brother than Broadway.
Beanie Man.
Cock it up, down. Back it up, down.
Steel Pulse. Plus the best of Barbados. MCs Miss Kitty and Peter Coppin. Sunday, April 26th, Farley Hill National Park from 11 a.m. Digicel Reggae on the Hill. The climax.
And welcome back to Massey United Insurance's Line and Line for an interesting development over the past couple of days. Trinidadian Samuel Badre on his way to Australia as part of a coaching clinic under the auspices of Cricket Australia. What a development, Philip.
What a development, and really that's a feather in his cap, and to some extent that of the West Indies, because it shows that the performance and the ability of West Indian cricketers is still being recognized beyond our shores.
Take us through that, though. Samuel Badre, currently ranked, even though he's been out of the game for a little while because of injury, currently ranked as the #1 T20 bowler in the world, even though his compatriot Sunil Narine could lay claim to that fame. But Badre.
Yeah, and I suppose that's why it's not particularly shocking that the Aussies would want to recognize that. There's a school of thought that suggests that maybe he would prefer, I think I even heard that expressed, prefers to work for the Aussies than to help in the Caribbean. And I would think that's a kind of an unfair assessment, because you'll have to look and see if he's been offered opportunities to work with the regional cricketers. I don't find anything particularly alarming about it. If you remember, not too long ago, I was in Saklim Mustak, the former Pakistani international. He came over and did some work with the West Indies spinners, and in fact, Badri would have been part of that had he been available. Ashley Nurse was the one who benefited from that. And Sunil Narine also should have been part of that, and he too was unavailable. So it's not unusual. We're in an age now where people are looking beyond just their own players. And he's #1 in that format, and the Aussies, we know that they're not going to sit back. They have never shown that tendency to sit back and allow things to happen. They make things happen.
Well, and they certainly intend to in this case.
Yeah, and I believe that there's a lesson in that for us as West Indians too.
That's the point I wanted to get at.
Yeah, definitely there's a lesson in that for us as West Indians. Even before you consider the coaching aspect of it, Samuel Badri has played so well at the T20 level that I'm amazed he's never really been given a run in one-day internationals. Is it that the one-day international game and the T20 are so far apart? You've got other players who play across all 3 formats, and I think really one of the regrets that I have in terms of Badri is that we haven't seen him, being utilized, let's say, in the longer format, the 50 over. To the benefit of West Indies cricket.
One of the interesting things about Badri as well is, Philip, he's actually a school teacher, a profession which you're quite familiar with.
Of course.
And back in Trinidad, he's a school teacher. So perhaps the transition from being a teacher to coaching, even if, albeit for a short period of time, is probably not such a difficult one for him to make.
Well, even if you look at many of the greats and former greats, they would often mention people who were influential to them in their early years. It's only now that you have all these coaches around, but before, pretty much it was a school teacher. Maybe the math teacher, English teacher, the social studies teacher, the primary school teacher, who would have impacted on many of those early cricketers. And so it's nothing new, really. And it's not surprising. I've been there myself in terms of having the experience as a teacher, as a coach, and also playing sport. And there's a lot of transfer in terms of teaching and coaching. So it's not particularly surprising to me.
Do you think the West Indies Cricket Board ought to be observing this situation very, very closely and looking at the possible use of a Samuel Badre or any other player for that matter, retired or long retired or just on the verge to be involved or more involved in West Indies cricket?
I think the West Indies Cricket Board, they're probably a couple of decades late in terms of doing that. I accept that you've got to look at coaching certificates and training when you are selecting people to maybe head programs and to run programs on an ongoing basis. But if you're having a clinic, you can utilize the services of people if they're not necessarily trained in coaching, because they have some degree of expertise. And you don't necessarily have to be a trained coach or a trained teacher to be able to share that in a small form over a short period of time. I don't think we've ever really done that, we've not maximized that. If you look at the abundance of talent and the abundance of riches we have in the Caribbean, we are probably in a better position to do that more than most international cricketing countries, but we've come short.
Strong words from Philip Hackett on the Massey United Insurance's Line and Line. When we come back, Barry Wilkinson talks Scotiabank Kiddie Cricket.
Across the Caribbean, more people are placing their trust in Massey United Insurance for the protection of the things that are important to them, their homes, businesses, and their prized possessions. That's because Massey United Insurance offers excellent general insurance coverage to help you manage whatever life sends your way. Our cadre of well-reputed agencies and trained insurance professionals are always ready to provide you with sound advice and prompt service. Choose the security and sound strength that is Massey United Insurance.
Playing cricket for West Indies is hard work. That's why you need the best shoes.
Bowling fast is harder than it looks. And don't forget batting, I can do that too.
You need to have the best equipment to achieve optimum results.
Being in the center, all eyes are on me. Gotta look my best.
For over 3 decades, Sports and Games Barbados Limited has been outfitting professional, amateur and young athletes with the best gear. Whatever your sporting needs, you are sure to meet them there. Corner of James and Roebuck Street.
Sports and Games, we are the home of champions.
FAS Entertainment presents the Digicel Reggae on the Hill, featuring Queen Africa.
Take you far away, far away.
I-Octane.
I can see it in your eyes.
Norris Man.
Then if I want to see we strike.
Luciano.
Give praise to Rastafari.
Barrington Levy.
I'm brother than Broadway.
Beanie Man.
Cock it up down. Back it up down.
Steel Pulse. Plus the best of Barbados. MCs Miss Kitty and Peter Coppin. Sunday, April 26th, Farley Hill National Park from 11 a.m. Digicel Reggae on the Hill. The climax.
Well, thank you very much. Well, to see the cricket in the middle is just one thing, but how did those players get there? Well, the Kiddie Cricket Scotiabank program has been going on for quite some time, and these two ladies responsible at the moment for the development of that Kiddie Cricket program. First of all, let's talk to Amanda Lynch Foster. Amanda, how does it feel? You know, Kiddie Cricket has been going on for eons. Tell me about some of the cricketers that have actually graduated and make it to the middle playing for the West Indies.
Okay, well, actually, 4 of the players who are currently on the West Indies team have passed through the Kiddie Cricket program, which is actually celebrating its 15th anniversary this year. So eons indeed. Jermaine Blackwood, Darren Bravo, Kimar Roach and Craig Brathwaite all passed through the Kiddie Cricket program. And on the England side, Chris Jordan did too.
And you have your assistant, or actually your colleague here from Jamaica. She would have also witnessed a lot of development too in her part of the region and internationally.
Yes, that's true.
You know, how do you feel about the Kiddie Cricket program in terms of Scotiabank helping develop young cricketers?
Well, Scotiabank is very proud of the program and how it has evolved over the years. Actually, since the program has grown significantly, currently we have 726 primary schools enrolled in the program across the region. And we also have roughly around 108,000 kids enrolled in the program as well. So it has grown significantly over the years. And over the past 15 years, we have 750,000 students pass through the program since inception.
So what's next then? 15 years, you've seen some development. What's on the horizon going forward?
Okay, well, we signed a new 5-year contract with the WICB in 2013. That takes us right down to 2018. So coming up will be the 17th, 18th, 19th anniversaries of kiddie cricket. But what we're doing, we're expanding in particular the number of coaches and, you know, properly accredited and trained coaches in the program through a joint program with UTEC. So that is part of the new sponsorship contract. We've also expanded the kiddie cricket camps, which we started in 2013 and which we have now in every island. And that helps identify the kids who are just about to leave primary school and go on to secondary school, identify the most promising ones, nurture that talent over the summer vacation or Easter in some countries, but mostly the summer vacation, and make sure that they're ready to go on to the next level grassroots cricket when they leave primary school and when they leave the kiddie cricket program. So we take them through from 7 to 11, sometimes 12, and make sure they're prepared at every step of the way.
Tell me a little bit about what goes on out in the middle when there's a lunchtime. You know, you see the kids playing little games. What goes out in the middle?
Okay, what we call it is the kiddie cricket display. So they come out, show they warm up, show their skills. Our mascot Chirpy, he comes out and he plays and interacts with them. We interact with the crowd. We give out promotional items and thunder sticks and just get the crowd going and riled up for cricket.
All right, wonderful stuff. So we see the players out in the middle. This is how it's all started. The Kiddie Cricket Scotiabank program.
That's our program for tonight. A special thanks to the Honorable Keith Mitchell, the Prime Minister of Grenada, the Scotiabank Kiddie Cricket ladies, Philip Hackett in the studio, and my friend Barry Wilkinson in Grenada. I'm Andrew Seeley. Join us next week for more.